Hey all, Mandy here with Chalk Couture, and we are going to be making a shirt using our I don't rise and shine, I caffeinate and hope for the best. I swear this transfer was made for me. We are going to be using our couture tie or our couture teal and our bright white ink to make our shirt. And I have just slid some parchment paper inside the shirt, and that just protects it in case any of the ink were to bleed through. Now we do have our great ink mats, but the size of the ink mat I have is the same size as the transfer, so I didn't want to mess with worrying about edges. Now I usually do the transfers about 3 fingers below the collar, but because this isn't a V-neck, which is my usual go-to, I'm going to do about 4 or 5. Have that all centered and smoothed out, no bubbles. And I didn't fuzz this time because we're going to be using it on fabric, so I wanted to make sure we had all the stick of the transfer, just so we had the good crisp lines. So I'm going to come in with our bright white ink, and I'm going to get those smaller words and our fun little coffee cup, just making sure that we cover all of the silkscreen with that beautiful Chalk Couture ink. Now the great thing about the ink, now don't get me wrong, the paste is great too, but the ink gives you a little more time to work because it takes longer to dry and it spreads a little bit different. So you want to make sure that you apply enough pressure that you get, that ink pushed through the silk screen, so you get that full coverage and that clear detail that you want with your projects, your shirts, your kitchen towels, your pillows, anything that you're using the ink on. So now that we've finished the white, I'm going to come in with our couture teal, and we're going to get that rise, shine, and that last little cute cup. Now, if you are worried about getting too close to the edge or going off the edge because the ink is not as forgiving as the paste, you can always take some painter's tape and go right around the edge of that transfer just to give you a little bit of extra protection as you're spreading that ink around. So I want to make sure that my hands are clean, and then I've put the jars away so I don't end up sticking my finger in it or putting the sleeve of the shirt in. And now we're just going to peel that transfer off. And I see that I missed a little bit. I didn't press hard enough. So I went back, added a little bit more white, and we just peeled that transfer off from the center so we were sure not to stretch it. And it turned out so cute. I love it, and I have a brand new shirt to wear tomorrow. So now I want to make sure that that ink is completely dry before we go ahead and heat set it with our heat press. So I'm just using a heat gun, and you of course could just use your hair dryer as well, whatever you have to speed that up. And if you're not in a rush, you can always just let it dry overnight as well. Whatever works best for you. I like using the heat gun because I like to speed up the process because I'm not patient. And plus, when I'm showing how to do it, nobody wants to sit there and watch paint dry. Anyways, so we've got our ink all dry. And now we're going to come in with the heat press. But first we want to make sure we've got that parchment paper inside. We want to use parchment paper to cover our image. If you're heat setting with a regular iron, you want to kind of follow the directions of what your fabric is, but you would iron it at a medium cotton setting for this shirt for 4 minutes on the front, and then flip it over and do another 4 minutes on the back. With the heat press, you set it at 350 for a cotton t-shirt, and you iron it for 30 seconds on the front. Flip it over as you see here, and iron it for another 30 seconds. And voila, you have your own fun shirt made just the way you want it. Thank you for joining me, and if you like what you see here and you want to see more, check out my online store at chalkcouture.com/MandyG.